Good day, I'm Rocky, and this presentation is about fixing or replacing a leaky 510 connector on the Artic Dolphin Anita regulated Squonk mod. I also have a comprehensive post on this same subject on Reddit in the electronic cigarette subforum. It is pretty much a blow-by-blow tutorial. If you're interested, please go there for the detailed version. This presentation is to provide information about my experience to would-be do-it-yourselfers and allowing them to make a more informed decision about which path to take in dealing with this mod. I recently acquired an Anita regulated Squonk mod and Aladdin RDA from Simon, the Coily Tool man in the UK. On the Coily Tool primary website, there's a leg link page where you can look up and post the leg links used for a variety of atomizers. I was lucky enough to win a monthly drawing for those who posted leg links, and the prize was this Anita Squonk mod and the Aladdin RDA. Thanks, Simon, for the prize and the invention of the Coily tool. The mod is not high-end, but it is a nice addition to my small collection, and I'm very happy with it. However, after about 2 weeks of use, it started leaking from the bottom of the 510 connector, where the positive pin exits the peak insulator. Not gushing, mind you, but enough to need wiping down and cause a nuisance. I tinker quite a bit and do it yourself my own parallel MOSFET and PWM mods. Nearly all of them are Squonk mods, so I keep a supply of assorted parts handy. I learned a lot from this experience and wanted to share the two options I came up with. The first option is to fix the 510 by replacing the seals in it. The second option will be to just replace the entire 510 assembly with a short-bodied, spring-loaded Motley Mods 510. The 510 connector of the Anita mod is proprietary. It has a 21mm top plate. Most common 510s, in my experience, are 22mm like the Fat Daddy or the Motley Mods 510. The 510 is held in place by two T4 Torx head socket screws that engage a brass retaining plate on the inside of the mod body. It's a simple idea and it works well. The 510 also has a step cut into it on the bottom side that sets into a recess in the mod body and aligns with a step in the recess. This is to prevent the 510 connector from turning in the mod from trying to remove an overly tightened atomizer. The 510 spring-loaded positive pin assembly is pressed into place from the bottom of the 510. Very much unlike the common 510s that have the positive pin assembly screwed into the bottom of the 510 body. The 510's body is also proprietary. It is 12mm across as opposed to Fat Daddies or Motley Mods that are only 10mm across. The positive and negative power wires to the 510 are soldered into place, and this, in my opinion, is what may have caused or led to the leaking. I think that too much heat was applied to the positive pin while soldering, and that heat caused the positive pin seal at the top to deteriorate, thus causing the leak. There are two seals in the positive pin assembly. A 5mm inner diameter by 0.5mm thick seal that fits on the pin itself at the top end. This seal is to prevent e-juice from seeping down the positive pin between the pin and the peak insulator. The second seal is a 7mm inner diameter by 1mm thick seal that fits around the top peak insulator. that houses the head of the positive pin. This seal is to prevent e-juice from seeping down between the peak insulator assembly and the inner body of the connector. Replacing those two seals should fix the leaking, and the following is how I would accomplish that task. First, take off the mod doors and remove the squonk bottle and the battery. Just saying. Then remove the 4 screws that hold the inner mod body cover in place. There are 2 inside the mod and 2 on the back side. All are surface mounted, and the inside screws are different from the backside screws. Keep them separated. Leave the other 2 screws that are recessed into the back cover alone. They hold in all the magic stuff. With the cover screws removed, you can gently pry the inside cover away from the mod body, exposing the battery wires and the contact covers. Beware, the positive battery contact at the top has a short wire, so it cannot be pulled very far away from the body. There are 4 watchmaker-sized screws holding both the positive and negative contact covers in place. Pay close attention to the direction of the top positive contact cover when it comes off, as it only fits best one way. The bottom negative contact cover is removed in the same manner, but you will find a spring between the cover and the negative contact. Make sure it goes back in when you reassemble it. Now you can set aside the inside cover and turn your attention to the 510 connector. You should be able to tap out the pressed-in positive pin assembly with care using a 1/4 inch or 6.5 millimeter outer diameter flat-headed pin punch. Leave the 510 installed in the mod. There's no need to take it out or desolder the positive pin. Let the weight of the hammer do the work. You don't need to try and drive it out. Just let the weight of the hammer fall on the pin and tap it out. With the positive pin assembly hanging free by the positive power wire, you can now disassemble the pin in place and replace the seals. Take care to pay attention how it came apart. The picture is provided as a reminder. Having replaced both seals and put the positive pin assembly back together, you can now reinsert it into the body of the 510 connector. Turn the mod body upside down, sitting on the faceplate of the 510. Take a pair of pliers that have flat-sided jaws and place the protruding positive pin between the jaws and let the flat face rest against the peak insulator. Now you can take up your hammer and gently tap it back into place, paying particular attention to alignment. Presuming that this task was successful, you can now test the assembly for leakage before reinstalling the cover. This is the easiest part. Take a paper towel and stuff it inside the mod. Turn the mod right side up. Squirt enough juice into the 510 positive pin cup to cover the pin. Then install your favorite atomizer to push the pin down. Leaving it up and unstressed may prove nothing. You want it where it lives when the atomizer is installed. Now set it aside and wait. You may want to wait a couple of hours. I'd suggest check it tomorrow. If you don't find any leaks around the bottom of the 510 body, around the peak insulator, or between the positive pin and the peak insulator, then you can presume victory and turn your attention to completing the reassembly of the mod. If resealing didn't work, then the next option is replacement. For this, you're going to need a new 510 connector of your choice and some tools. I chose a short-bodied, spring-loaded Motley Mod's 510 because it has both positive and negative tabs to be soldered to. That negates the need to solder directly to the 510 body. The tools you'll need: a T4 Torx head bit, a 3/8 inch drill bit or 10 millimeter outer diameter drill bit, a vise, a drill press clamp, something like what the machinists use, a fine tooth bastard file, a fine tooth round file like a chainsaw blade file, a 510 installation kit. I'll use a Mod Maker UK kit, a Dremel tool and a Dremel cutting bit or a smaller size sanding cylinders. At this point, let us presume that the inside cover and battery contacts have already been removed, so we can turn our attention to the 510 directly. Desolder the positive and negative power wires from the 510 and clean the solder from the body of the 510 connector. And also clean and re-tin the wire ends. There's no need to cut them clean, just clean them up. Before removing the 510, tap out the positive pin assembly. Then, using the T4 Torx bits, remove the 2 screws holding the 510 assembly in place and pull the 510 body free of the mod. Reinstall the brass retaining plate. You'll understand why shortly. Remember that the original 510 body has a step on the underside that matches a step in the recessed area of the mod. We can use this old part to reduce the work needed to modify a washer to fill in the recess. Because the new 510 is likely to be 22 millimeters in diameter with a 10 millimeter body, and if you try and drop it straight in, it would be very difficult to center over a recess area and tighten down. Trust me on this, as experience is a great teacher, especially if you survive the first one. Now we're ready to drill out the original 510 body. It just so happens that the original positive pin assembly is 3/8 inch in diameter, so a 3/8 inch drill bit will fit in it and serve as a guide. Place the 510 body into a clamping device upside down, and using a 3/8 inch drill bit, drill through the body from the bottom, making a clean hole through the entire body. Transfer the 510 body to a vise. Clamp it down, again, bottom side up, and using a fine tooth bastard file, remove all of the body metal that protrudes from the brass retaining plate. Take it right down to the brass, making sure it's evenly filed flush. Now you can remove the brass retaining plate from the body and clean up the hole with a fine tooth file. And voila! You now have the perfect filler for that recess in the mod body that will also center the new 510 when it's installed. Now let's prep the new 510 before installation. You'll need to solder the negative and the positive tabs to the 510 power wires on the mod. Set the modified original 510 body into the recess, align it, and then drop in the new 510 connector. Put the negative tab in place and the retaining nut and tighten as much as you dare. The 510 installation tool makes this task relatively easy. Also, I much prefer to remove the positive pin assembly from the new 510 before tightening the nut, just in case something should slip and damage it. Once that's done, install the positive pin assembly and the positive tab and its retaining nut. That completes the new 510 installation. All that's needed now is to modify the inner cover before finishing. Looking at the inner cover, the opening for the squonk pin in the inner cover is just large enough to allow the Squonk pin and Squonk tubing to fit. We'll have to remove some of the material to allow the new assembly to move freely up and down without jamming against the cover, limiting its movement. Adjacent to the opening is a screw tab for the upper retaining screw that is installed from the back. It will also have to be removed. This isn't a problem, as the other 3 screws will hold the inner cover aligned and secure. Using a Dremel tool and cutting bit, remove enough material around the hole and the screw tab to allow the new 510 to move freely. You'll have to do this a little at a time so as not to overdo it. Remember, what you take off you cannot put back. I suggest you cut a little, check the fit, have a vape, check the fit again, and repeat the process as needed. That is about all the damage we can do to the cover, so now we can finish the job. Reassemble the positive and negative connectors onto the inner cover in reverse disassembly order. Afterwards, you can press the inner cover back into place and install the inner and outer retaining screws. You'll have 1 screw left over if you replace the 510. You'll still have all 4 if you just resealed it. Load up the Squonk bottle, a fresh battery, and maybe a new build in your atomizer, and have yourself a vape. As you can see in the picture, the 510 I used has a thick plate, and this will leave about a 1.5 millimeter gap between the atomizer and the mod body if your atomizer is larger than 22 millimeters in diameter. For me, this is a small matter. It ain't matchy-matchy with the Cthulhu Zathog, but it's still a great vape. If you made it this far, then I would like to thank you for your time and attention. If the new 510 fails, most of your work for replacing it has already been accomplished. Just saying, just in case. If you like my presentations, please subscribe and click the little bell so as to be notified when another video is uploaded. I plan to do more in a varied range of subjects. Also, feel free to leave a comment. I'm not so proud of my work or opinions as to not consider constructive criticism. That's it for now. Thanks again, and as always, be safe and have a vape day.